My next guest is a truly fascinating gentleman. He happens to be 93 years old, and he is the father of public relations. In the course of his 70-year career, some of his clients have been Presidents Wilson, Hoover, Coolidge, and Eisenhower, Thomas Edison, Eleanor Roosevelt, and Enrico Caruso. It's a pleasure to welcome Dr. Edward Bernays.
Ideas were weapons and were even more effective than bullets.
In 1928, Edward Bernays published a book describing the principles of propaganda. During World War I, Bernays and others discovered that it was possible to not only rally public support for the war effort, but to also change people's attitudes towards the war. After the war ended, they found that propaganda could be just as useful in times of peace. Even though Bernays' book was written in the 1920s, it is still very relevant today. Bernays was one of the first people to master the art of public manipulation, and then to systematically apply it across every level of society.
Perhaps I can help you. You can begin by investigating the techniques of propaganda.
Fallen Harvard business alum Leon Black, formerly of convicted felon Michael Milken's Drexel Burnham Lambert, hires another Harvard business graduate and marketing expert Adam Aron to run the Apollo-owned Vail Resorts. 1 year before Jeffrey Epstein buys a chalet in Vail, Colorado. Black's relationship with both men includes their membership in the Secretive Council on Foreign Relations and Apollo Global Management, where Aron becomes the senior officer from 2006 to 2015. During that time, Black pays Epstein millions of dollars from 2012 to 2017. In 2016, Aron replaces the CEO of AMC Theaters, Jerry Lopez, besting his predecessor in continued lawsuits alleging securities fraud and increasing AMC's debt by billions of dollars. The COVID pandemic struck, and Aron decried his inability to pay down the debt without diluting the stock.
At the same time, he gifted himself $3.75 million for successfully navigating a crisis he insisted continued to affect AMC's business.
While its closest competitor appeared unaffected, a retail investor movement called the Apes saved AMC from the constant specter of bankruptcy confirmed by AMC.
With $900 million available, Adam Aron declares AMC's bankruptcy off the table. The next day, CNBC reports that short sellers are down $91 billion in January due to meme stock runs in the stock price. The report is followed on January 27, 2021, by a special meeting declared by Adam Aron to emphasize the need for 500 million additional shares, 2 days after declaring bankruptcy was off the table. Another 24 hours later, Citigroup declared to their advisors not to suggest buying shares of GameStop or AMC to their clients. On January 29, 2021, the meme stocks strike again, with another resurgence in price, tightening the noose around short sellers. AMC's price shot up 300%. One of the largest banks and hedge funds in the world reveals itself as AMC's primary market maker on March 15, 2021. The next day, it sets a price target of $2 for AMC. The price is contrary to what Adam Aron says about the current status of the company on April 1st, 2021.
We're back operating as normal companies operate.
Retail journalist Frank Nez writes that Citigroup's financial interest in AMC included shorting the stock for the year 2021, extending into 2022. In subsequent years, Citigroup continued to downgrade the stock price.
Welcome everyone to Enron Gas Services Solutions Day.
On the date I left, I absolutely unequivocally thought the company was in good shape.
Mr. Skilling, according to the Watkins memo, Mr. McMahon and Mr. McMahon's testimony and the Powers Committee report, Mr. McMahon approached you with serious concerns about the inherent conflicts of interest in LJM. Is that true?
Again, my recollection of the discussion that I had with Jeff is that he was concerned that because there was a conflict of interest with Andy, that in discussions that they had, that would somehow hurt his compensation.
So did he lay out specific steps he thought should be taken to address these conflicts?
I don't recall.
You don't recall. He's warning you about conflicts of interest. You don't take any action. 3 days later, he gets reassigned. There's no connection.
There is absolutely no
You
connection.
resign on August 14th. Sharon Watkins writes a memo on August 14th. There's no connection.
The Apes did not want Aron to continue to dilute their investment by rejecting two proposals. After Adam Aron's first interview with unaccredited AMC stock influencer Trey Collins, AMC's board proposed a wider campaign for future proposals in a May 5, 2021 meeting, causing an influx of influencers showing support for Mr. Aron and pumping the stock of the company. Aron turned again to social media and two more important interviews with non-financial financial advisor Trey Collins. Between the interviews, AMC's stock price rose to an all-time high on June 2nd, 2021, some considering it a short squeeze. AMC would never reach that apex again, while influencers insisted that it would during a catalyst event of many names and flavors, but one universally dubbed a Moass, mother of all short squeezes.
We have these irrational biases, and what propaganda does is it takes notions like freedom, integrity, and it weds them to these irrational biases. It's a kind of communication that makes a case for a goal bypassing reason.
In his book titled Propaganda, he described the masses as irrational and subject to the herd instinct, and outlined how skilled practitioners could use crowd psychology and psychoanalysis to control them in desirable ways.
Doctor, tell me again what the doctor is. What are we dealing with?
Well,
You're the father of public relations.
What we're dealing with really is the concept that people will believe me more if you call me doctor.
Oh, I see.
In an attempt to win support from retail investors, Aron made the following empty statements. Future events proved to them to be meaningless pandering.
That like a weary traveler in the desert, he sees a mirage, and he is trying to sell it to you as real.
Companies are owned by their shareholders, of our company's owners, which is our shareholder base. And companies are supposed to do what's in the best interest of their shareholders.
Right.
And that community that you described is our shareholder base. They are the owners of our company. And that is that the shareholders of our company are the owners of our company. We care what you think. We respect who you are. And honestly, it's a privilege for me to lead this company that you now own. Well, of course, company executives should pay attention to individual investors when they own the company.
A democratic society like our own, the consent of the public is basic to anyone's meeting his or her social goals.
I hope you enjoy your theaters because this is your company.
Do you also believe that the consent of the public is basic for corporate goals too?
Well, obviously.
But we have a boss, and our boss is the collection of our shareholders who own the company. So I actually work for you. I just have an enormous appreciation to the shareholders of our business. It's your company. I work for you. And create real value. And the job of the whole executive team of AMC is to build shareholder value.
In our present social organization, approval of the public is essential to any undertaking. This then evidently indicates the fact that anyone with sufficient influence can lead sections of the public at least for a time and for a purpose. Formerly, the rulers were the leaders. They used their position of authority to command the masses into obedience. They laid out the course of history by doing what they wanted. The successors of the rulers, those whose position gives them power, can no longer do what they want without the approval of the masses. They find in propaganda a tool which allows them to obtain that approval.
Beginning in the late 19th century, a number of thinkers, most notably Freud and Gustave Le Bon,
You mentioned your uncle, Sigmund Freud,
attempted to understand why people engage in group identification and how group identification affects one's mind and behavior. As Bernays noted, the insights that emerged from this study caught the attention of those in positions of power who wanted to expand their control of societies. These people saw the potential of taking the theoretical insights of group psychology and transforming them into practical methods that could be used to manipulate the masses from outside of the public's eye, a task which formed the basis of Bernays' work in public relations. As Bernays explained in his book, Propaganda, the systematic study of mass psychology revealed the potentialities of invisible government of society by manipulation of the motives which actuate man in the group. These studies established that the group has mental characteristics distinct from those of the individual, and is motivated by impulses and emotions which cannot be explained on the basis of what we know of individual psychology. So the question naturally arose: if we understand the mechanism and motives of the group mind, is it not possible to control and regiment the masses according to our will without their knowing it?
But you know what? You know who the real king is? The shareholder is king. You are fully in charge. So I've got to pay attention not just to shareholders, but primarily our fiduciary duty is to shareholders. My word has always been my bond. I've always been a high integrity guy.
Coincidentally, when Aron needed to improve his image and gain more backing, he appeared on CNBC for a 1-hour interview with Melissa Lee, again portraying himself in the camp of retail investors. What makes this interview of utmost importance is Aron's keen knowledge of history, the importance of the Securities and Exchange Acts of the past to protect investors, and why the laws led to the creation of the Securities and Exchange Commission, which did the opposite. Its creation provided a shield for corporations to continue to commit financial terrorism against its citizens.
You'd be sitting here, you will have announced a $25 million ad campaign.
Why make this huge spend of $25 million when never before has a theater chain advertised itself?
I couldn't have imagined any of this. We've been complaining for all the way back to the summer of 2017 that there was a lot of short activity in our stock. I think part of that started because people noticed that there was a heavy concentration of short selling in AMC stock. We had 4.1 million individual shareholders who owned an average of between 100 and 120 shares each, but there were 4 million of them. We put out a major disclosure in June of 2021 that said that we were aware that our company's stock trading was quite volatile, and that it had moved, the trading in our shares had moved away from fundamental analysis.
At what point, Adam, did you decide that you should lean into being a meme stock? They should take advantage of this die-hard retail shareholder base and help your company?
Almost instantly. They are our bosses, and we work for them. And that I, as the CEO of this company, work for them. Management teams work for the owners of their companies.
And AMC has really become something much more than just a stock for a lot of these shareholders. It's come to symbolize something. It's come to symbolize an effort to democratize Wall Street at large, to make the system more fair. It's brought to light things like dark pools, price manipulation, payment for order flow. Do these things matter to you?
We are doing everything we know how at AMC to do this right and do this proper. But I'm all for regulation. And I hope that in this democratization of Wall Street, that the SEC looks hard at how markets function and puts in policies, procedures, regulations, laws that govern how markets work. And I've always believed in markets, and I've always believed in capitalism. And I've always believed that our system is the best way to grow wealth. Not grow wealth for an individual, but grow wealth for the entire population on the planet. But capitalism only works when it's fair and when it's regulated and when the rules of the game are set out so nobody cheats. And that's the job of the SEC. And I know that they're on the case, not our case or this particular situation, but the SEC was established because of the great market crash in 1929.
But today marks 90 years since May 27, 1933, when President Franklin Roosevelt, working alongside then Committee Chair Sam Rayburn and the U.S. Congress, signed the first of the securities laws, the Securities Act of 1933. Roosevelt saw this issue so clearly. Across this great country, before the law was passed, Americans were using their hard-earned money to purchase securities, but they weren't often getting the right information. They were getting flim-flam, purchasing securities from hucksters and con artists. As Roosevelt and Rayburn understood, our capital markets work if investors get to decide which risks they take so long as the companies raising money from them make what Roosevelt called complete and truthful disclosures.
The SEC's job was to make sure that, there are free and fair, open markets. And I think over the span of 100 years, the SEC's done a great job. And I want them to do a great job going forward for the next 100 years, because the best thing that can happen to all of us is that markets operate fairly, so that stock markets exist well, that people believe in them, so that companies can raise capital to grow and to thrive. I think a lot of our shareholders feel the same way.
You see, FDR called this law the Truth in Securities Act. He said on that May 27th, 90 years ago, quote, "Those who seek to draw upon other people's money must be wholly candid regarding the facts on which the investor's judgment is asked."
I want free, fair, and open markets, well-regulated markets. I want companies to stay on the right side of the line and do what's good and just and play by the rules. It's up to the SEC to decide what's right and what's proper, and I'm happy to live under their judgment.
We at the SEC are committed to our mission on behalf of investors and issuers alike, and ensuring that the markets that connect them works for them.
And when I tweeted that I was talking to you today, what do you guys want to know out there on Twitter? One person said, "I want you to tell Adam Aron that 10% of every paycheck goes to AMC till the mother of all short squeezes." Are you worried about, not the fairy tale ending, but the opposite? Retail investors whose dreams don't really work out. Is there going to be a mother of all short squeezes?
The only thing we all know about the future is that we're going to have to live to see that day come when the future actually arrives, and only then will we know the end of the story.
Bernays explains, "The group mind does not think in the strict sense of the word. In place of thoughts, it has impulses, habits, and emotions. In making up its mind, its first impulse is usually to follow the example of a trusted leader. This is one of the most firmly established principles in mass psychology."
How to be a cult leader.
1. A charismatic and authoritarian leader. Cult leaders always have two qualities: charisma and authoritarianism. A cult leader needs to have enough confidence, charm, and drive to pull people in, and they're always narcissists. Cult leaders like Jim Jones, Soko Ashihara, and Marshall Applewhite all fit at least 8 of the 9 criteria for people with narcissistic personality disorder. Their charisma and grandiose sense of self-importance attract people, but after that initial charm, their authoritarian nature and lack of empathy creates a culture of fear and terror, which keeps people in the cult.
The 5 influencers from part 1 in the series continued to manipulate the markets by promoting AMC to retail investors over the coming months and into the present day, each having their own method of delivery, but concentrating on a centralized theme of unquestioned support in the leadership of CEO Adam Aron.
The hallmarks of generating a cult of personality can be seen in business and politics. Take the legacy of Steve Jobs' Apple presentation, or the passion of Trump supporters and anti-Trump supporters. What about the sports nuts who live and breathe their own team colors? Whether you'd like to admit it or not, one time or another, you've been brainwashed by groupthink.
Be very careful when you hear an unfamiliar group authoritatively condoning something.
There's only one chart you need to think about this entire weekend as the media goes wild, trying to spend the weekend to convince you that people are getting tired of AMC, Reddit's getting bored, they're moving to uranium, they're moving to whatever. Up 53% just in the last few weeks. Come on. What more do you really need to know?
AMC Pick'ems here. I hope everybody's having a great night. Today's video is going to be on short squeezes versus Moass, the current state of AMC, shorting, why haven't they covered, things that should make them cover, and I'm going to go ahead and show you some quotes from Ihor, that guy that works with shorts and the short squeeze percentages every single day, and just get his point of view, because he has some very interesting things that I want people to understand about shorting, and I think it'll help people understand why we're in the current state that we're in. So,
and the big question, is your country using propaganda? Well, let's get past this right now. Yes, of course, absolutely. Your local government is almost certainly using propaganda, and companies operating within your country are definitely using propaganda. They're calling it advertising, but six in one hand, right?
As World War I erupted, President of the United States, Woodrow Wilson, following in the footsteps of the British papers, started one of the earliest examples of government-funded propaganda, an agency called the Committee on Public Information, otherwise known as the Creel Committee. The committee used every medium available to shape public opinion in favor of America's participation in the war. The American population, who had originally reflected a strong desire to stay out of the war, were bombarded by newsprint, colorful posters, and radio programs, all broadcasting the committee's pro-war message. Journalists and other news sources who were against the war were buried by the volume of news put out by the committee, successfully stomping out any opposition. The Americans had changed from a peace-minded people into a militant and warmongering population eager to fight within 6 months of the committee's existence.
The propaganda efforts of the Committee on Public Information, a very Orwellian name, did succeed in driving a pacifist population into raving anti-German fanatics, to the point where the Boston Symphony Orchestra couldn't play Beethoven, things like that.
Emerging from the Creel Committee was an American business consultant named Edward Bernays, who would alter the world of psychological warfare, propaganda, and advertising to such a degree that his methods are still used today. After the end of World War I, Bernays had realized that the concept of propaganda was scrutinized heavily by the public, but he saw it as a tool that had many uses. Observing how effective it was in shaping the psychology of the masses, Bernays rebranded the term propaganda into public relations.
I got 5 shares. I love AMC. I'm gonna hold this forever. I might just keep these 5 forever. I already made $377,000, 7,541% profit gain just by fucking selling some here and there, waiting, being patient, not selling at the first time that looked like things. Oh shit! Look, there's 4-22. Looks like it's almost over. Looks like AMC is still trading for around $215 a share. After all that, damn. Let's see. Okay, guys, I'm gonna change my floor. $5,000. My floor is 500 grand. Let's go 500 grand. All right, I got 100 shares, and they're all fully synthetic shorted. So many times over the float for each of these. I will not be surprised in the slightest when this is over if at least 10 times the entire float of shares available was resold synthetic from AMC. AMC is up 2,700% for the year. GameStop is up, who knows how many 2,000% for the year at this point. Who cares if it was a red day? It doesn't cost me anything extra to buy and hold. I bought more today. I bought more on Friday, and I'm gonna spend thousands more the rest of this week until this pops like this. Because I don't want to make $23 billion. I got a lot more than 100 shares. I don't want to make $23 million off of it. Let's go to the fucking moon, Ape Nation.
All the smart people are doing this, and you better get in now, buddy, before time runs out.
Today I want to give you a step-by-step guide on how we can factually cause the mother of all short squeezes. Before I dive into the video, be sure to sign up with Moomoo to get the special Thomas James investing promotion.
Diamond hands, diamonds are created over a long period of time through a whole lot of heat and a whole lot of pressure. Are the apes up for it?
I'll tell you what, I've watched a lot of things come and go over the last 9 months since January. I got in this 2 days before that run up to $25. And the apes have withstood it all. Some really great moments and some really hard moments. And the people who truly believe in what this stands for, beyond just the trade, beyond making money, true market change, conviction, and a better market for everybody, they're not going anywhere because they stand for that, whether or not the price is up or the price is down.
With dilution seemingly in the rearview mirror for the company, Mr. Aron praised the push forward, and Jim Cramer claimed that the company was thriving under Aron's leadership. Good times for the company was expected post-June 2nd run-up, with the hope of some retail investors who followed the influencers' voices that they could experience another huge gain in securities momentum.
October 1st. And I am buying myself some AMC for my birthday. All right, I wish you peace and wealth, everybody. Act accordingly. We're gonna be so rich.
A slogan was introduced by Mr. Aron that set the ape community ablaze with excitement. #choke on that. Aron used the phrase synonymously with detractors predicting AMC's demise. There were many of them, but none more notable than the financial entity firmly in control of AMC, Citigroup. The message was clear where Mr. Aron was directing it, ostensibly sending it to the same people AMC's board of directors work with to keep the company alive, as expressed here in his first interview with Trey Collins. That is, of course, unless it was meant for someone else.
Our investment bankers at Citibank and Goldman Sachs and B. Riley, our investment bankers, they knew what they were doing, and we all rallied around this company. And we were just going to be damned if AMC was going to fail.
That's what we call card stacking. And card stacking is choosing some facts and leaving out others and arranging them to suit your purpose.
By October, Adam Aron AMC influencers ensconced themselves into the community, again making more predictions that did not come to fruition, to keep the apes waiting for a cataclysmic event, to cause short sellers like Citigroup to cover their positions in AMC.
I want to give you some words of warning and also some words of encouragement to help you decide once and for all. And I also want to talk about Evergrande and the incoming collapse. So stay tuned and let's make some money.
What's the crystal ball saying?
It says you will die this Tuesday.
Today's Wednesday.
Oh shit.
Psychics, magicians, and hypnotists are scammers.
I meant to say Thursday.
And today we're going to prove that by starting with...
And I really do think that, unfortunately, we're going to be seeing a default for the first time in America's history. And even if they don't default, they're going to come down to the wire. It's going to shake up the stock markets. 10 to 20% losses in the stock across the stock markets are going to equal huge margin calls, margin defaults. Hedge funds, little hedge funds like Melvin are going to start to go under, and then senior hedge funds are going to start to go under after that. Mother of all short squeezes could kick off. It could be a fake out. If we're lucky, a true mother of all short squeezes will continue, and even market makers like Citadel will have to buy back their failures to deliver. That's the goal, in my opinion. That's my goal. So I love you all. Peace and wealth, Ape Nation. Thank you all for your support. We're gonna be so fucking rich.
Boy, is this guy crazy. Is this a cult if I ever heard one? Yes, it is. It's a cult. I mean, it's the cult of cults.
A lot of pump and dumps, and if you do it right, hell, you can profit on the pump and dumps with them.
Harold Camping was an evangelical Christian radio broadcaster who predicted the end of the world several times. Every time a doomsday date passed, he would blame faulty math, fix his calculations, and come up with a new date. His two most popular predictions were in a book he published in 1992 called 1994?
October also saw a resurgence in theater ticket sales and a booming surplus of liquidity for the company.
Because we raised so much money, our shareholders have armed us with what was, at the end of the second quarter, a $2 billion cash war chest, a cash and liquidity war chest, to go out and transform our company.
You'll find that the purpose of most propaganda is to persuade people to believe something, to do something, or to buy something.
The pandemic that Aron used as a selling point to dilute was suddenly an afterthought for now, as he wanted to resume growing the company, showing selective use of rhetorical devices depending on his needs. Theaters continued to generate revenue at the end of the month, and the influencers on social media sustained different predictions, moving the goalposts to keep their audience engaged. As per their track record, nothing happened.
We do see massive energy grid blackouts and cyber attacks by May or June. One feels like it's in the Northeast, East Coast, New York area or Washington area.
A federal report today predicted possible catastrophic warming of the Earth by the 1990s with the strong climate change.
Today I want to talk about how AMC is on track for a November squeeze. I don't really usually like giving time deadlines, but I thought this one was too good not to share.
Yeah, make sure you guys get a good CPA, certified professional accountant. Yep, get his tax firm. Don't go to f***ing H&R Block like an idiot to get your taxes done. Don't use some stupid website to get your taxes done if you just made a shitload of money on the stock market. Do the smart thing. Spend a few bucks to get a certified accounting professional to take care of your taxes. This is the Great Depression 2.0, and I've got my hedge to the shittiest fucking economy I've seen in my entire life.
I said, Lord, Joe Biden don't need to be president. And just like this, just like if you'd answered me, he said he won't.
Minnesota resident Brian Reis and Texas resident Anthony Franzetti both spoke of dissension within the community, but did so as if they had the authority to speak for everyone involved, never revealing the credibility to do so, choosing who they believed were worthy of admiration by the apes and who were not. Each message is worth proper dissection.
A cult can form around anything: politics, religion, business, self-improvement, therapy, hate, aliens, meditation, YouTube channels, and eco-friendly lifestyle.
Controlling the environment and narrative. The act of brainwashing or mind control is often at the center of any cult.
Is this a form of psychoanalysis?
No, psychoanalysis, they lay back. Don't associate Scientology with such people.
Leaders of these groups need to ensure that the environment around them is controlled at all times.
The company, the stock, and clear up a little bit of FUD that I see going around about it as well. So basically the first thing I want to talk about and just clear this up is this Adam Aron, basically Adam Aron's options here that everybody's talking about. A lot of people are looking at this saying that, you know, he ended up had 5,000 call options and exercised them for 500,000 shares, and they need to go out and hedge for those, and he sold some shares off, and none of that's actually accurate. So I just want to go ahead and break this down for everybody, just so everyone can understand what's going on here. Now let's start getting to the good news on AMC and why I feel great about the stock, and everybody else here should too, now that the FUD's cleared up. So AMC Entertainment confirms October theater admission revenue for AMC both in the United States and internationally is the highest it has been in any month since COVID, and like I said, since 2020. Another thing I want to show you guys that I thought was pretty good idea going forward, because Adam Aron talked about in those interviews how he likes the NFL.
After Mr. Reis's defense of Aron and his promotion of AMC's stock value, pay close attention to how careful he is with his words, contradicting them in some places and correcting himself in others, sometimes revealing his true intentions.
A lot of people, keep asking why do we think that, AMC is going to explode still? Because you got to look at who we're fighting. First of all, we're fighting market makers, and when they started, getting most of these shorts, they're going to have to continuously short these stocks. They can't let retail continuously buy and raise that, or they're going to lose, that money, and that they're going to eventually hit that margin to where they're going to lose. So no matter what, if retail keeps on purchasing, they have no choice but to keep shorting.
Cat Striker, you're an amazing person. I love you. You are fucking a beautiful person inside and out. You are clearly trying to help the apes. You're doing billboards, planes. Why did we get into this in the first place? So, we all are being stolen from every single day. You guys are still doing it to us. They've been doing it to us the last 8 months that we've been buying fucking shares. They've been stealing every fucking time we buy.
Guilt and shame are powerful weapons, powerful weapons against the human psyche when submission is the goal.
You're talking about making more in your lifetime than you would have made working, and you want them to hand it to you. Grow up. I put out 8 steps on how you guys can win this, but you guys are too lazy to follow it.
If you want to get people to submit, use guilt and shame.
We're long on this play. People, do you wonder why I don't fucking talk about AMC ever? the price, the charts. Who gives a fuck? I'm long on it. I don't look at it. Neither should you. You're long on the play until you set alerts on plays you're long on.
If you're full of guilt and shame and you want relief from that guilt and shame, the only relief that you'll find inside of the narcissistic relationship is to go back to sleep, is to go back into the dream that they created. So you then have to go into the fantasy that they've created for you. You must submit to their coordinates, who they are, who you are in the fantasy, not the reality, who they are in their script, in the film that they're directing, writing, and starring in, who you are, and the nature of your relationship. When you don't submit to that, gaslighting, reversal, guilting and shaming, everything to get you to go back to sleep, to submit and go back into the dream.
Do you know what's in my profile? Or my portfolio? No? Does anyone? No? Why? Because it's none of your business. It's not my business. Unfollow the piece of shit and start following people that have your interest at heart. You guys, I'm gonna let you in on a fucking secret right now. No one gives a fuck about you.
We've already mentioned how retaining a system of punishment, reward, and fear keeps members in line. But how exactly do those members wind up so induced into a state of total dependency? There are many ways in which this is achieved, including something known colloquially as love bombing.
I really fucking do. I love every one of you that has held on this fucking line. I know it's hard.
Love. It doesn't matter what the context is. The narcissist will use love in some way.
But make sure you keep them in there so you can make $1 in interest. Grow up, people. You're not going to be able to sit on your ass and become a millionaire. Trades, I love you. I believe you have a good heart, man. We've had talks, and I don't think you're one of them. Cat Striker, I believe you are an amazing person. Boss Blunts, like you said, I'm not telling you guys to follow these people, but I know that they're true apes, and I love every fucking one of you for what you guys provide to the community, basically for fucking free.
The key to understanding narcissistic personality disorder is that the entire formation of the personality is based around a false self.
What I want to speak to is the reason that my channel is here. I came in YouTube late to the game. I've been here since the beginning, but I had to turn on the camera because of the amount of clickbait and that is going on throughout this community. And now not only do we have the clickbait going on, but we have dissension in the group. Now I've made very little progress in stopping the clickbaiters from putting out crap videos and having 20, 30, 50,000 people watch them and filling their heads with misinformation every day. That's okay, I'm not giving up, but I am really disappointed about the amount of villains and evil people that are clout chasing on Reddit and Twitter, bringing dissension in this group and tearing the whole community apart. All I can say is stop giving these people an audience.
Challenging criticism. Our next topic ties heavily into the need to control, and it can usually be seen within those who have devoted their lives fully into that group's confines and teachings.
The clickbait and fairy tale videos with no due diligence, trust me bro information, and zero evidence to back up their claims, that has to stop, but so does the division. As a community, we are enabling this poison to seep into our daily lives. Turn these people off. Unsubscribe from the clickbait channels. Find people who are giving you real due diligence, real information that can be backed up, and find people who aren't sowing dissension among the community and stick with them. Trey, my hat is off to you. You are one of the few who's put out good, solid information and stayed above the fray of gossip and dissension. As for me, I'm here every day live streaming during market hours, and I do my best to provide you guys factual information supporting AMC, bullish as heck, and I will talk about both the good and the bad without giving you fairy tales, trust me bro, or clickbait crap. I love and appreciate all of the contributors to this AMC and GameStop community, and I appreciate all the hard work that each and every one of you has put in, but I do challenge you to provide information that is factual or that can be backed up with some evidence that people can go back and look into. I do hope to see you during one of the live streams. Drop in and say hi. Don't forget to buy and hold that subscribe button, and I will see you on the next video.
So they have this false self of themselves, this view of themselves as all powerful, all beautiful, all knowing, very important, very special. But then they also seem to have like a false view of other people.
Cults will teach you to ignore your inner heart and inner voice, because those are an obstacle to living in the fantasy bubble. They will teach you to stop paying attention to your perceptions, which is very disastrous. Because if you think about it, perceptions are the only thing that grounds you to reality.
And I will see you on the next video.
Just as honest as the day is long.
The next day, Reis distanced himself from his stock positions being made public, leaving his substantial audience wondering his motives for promoting AMC as a stock and as a company. He emphasized the importance of AMC as a movement and, as seen in earlier videos, did not consider himself a retail investor and then considered himself a retail investor, swinging his position back and forth depending on the message. Without disclosure of any of his positions, stocks or otherwise, Reis leaves himself susceptible to scrutiny due to his constant manipulation of his viewers, telling them what to do, not telling them what to do, being part of the movement and not being part of the movement, and calling the movement at one point a program.
I've been trading for like 3.5, 4 years. I don't know exactly, but around that time. I have stocks that none of you guys know about, because why do I need to fucking tell you my stocks? You don't know. Who cares? All I talk about is AMC and GME because that's what's relevant to our movement as people. That's what gets us where we need to be. Everybody is so in a fucking rush to get this done today. You guys, one of the best things we can do is get our company as strong as possible in AMC. If we have the best Q4 ever, we start paying down debt and they start improving everything about them that they're currently doing. They're getting popcorn. I mean, they're doing things that we want to do. If they keep improving, shorts only have against us right now. Hey, they got debt. They got debt. Well, imagine if AMC didn't have debt. Imagine if they started smashing away on that debt. What are shorts going to start to say? They're going to just bitch about how much we've paid off at a time. But when eventually that's gone, like I said, we don't have to wait till that's all gone. But like I said, fundamentally, that would, could force a squeeze that alone. I'm trying to get you guys out of ATSs right now, and I'm trying to get you guys to lit exchanges. Why in the fuck would we want to go back to an ATS? Stop whining about them. Fix it. Just told you how. Stop letting influencers fucking divide us. We're now... What influencer do you like more? You have people more loyal to the influencers than they have to the program. Think about that. A program. The fucking movement.
The words movement and program do not have semantical connections. To Reis, the word program meant something different than the word movement, but he connected the two. However, the word program is a synonym to the word scheme, plot, and project. Since Reis was concerned with AMC as a company without disclosing why or his position within the company, of note is AMC's history with Citigroup extending for decades in several different schemes related to securities. The timing of the influencer videos in an attempt to keep the community together holding the stock and Reis telling his audience to be patient coincided with another program, or in this case, project, developing in the background, Project Popcorn. Several sources place the initial program of Project Popcorn beginning in November of 2021, after Adam Aron declared bankruptcy off the table, had $2 billion at his disposal, and was operating as normal. Project Popcorn is said to have been developed by Citigroup's Peter Derek Van Zandt. Van Zandt's history with AMC and Adam Aron retroactively emerges at Project Carl and AMC shareholders suing the company over the acquisition of Carmike Cinemas.
We've been complaining for all the way back to the summer of 2017 that there was a lot of short activity in our stock.
Court documents in the summer of 2023 revealed through discovery that Project Popcorn was an elaborate alternative form of equity that would convert into common stock, giving Adam Aron the dilution that he tenaciously sought from the shareholders, but was consistently denied. Project Popcorn was presented as a preliminary draft in November of 2021 as 1. A rights offering. 2. It needed to use a PR firm to get the message out to shareholders and the timing. 3. It needed to consider the AMC shareholders.
A rights offering is an issue of rights to a company's existing shareholders that entitles them to buy additional shares directly from the company in proportion to their existing holdings within a fixed time period. Rights offerings allow a company to raise money and reward current shareholders. They also help current shareholders maintain their current proportion of the total company stock.
Like January 2021, November 2021 became a month of significant changes and planning within the company. Also, on the heels of Project Popcorn, AMC insiders and board members began to sell shares of the company, spanning from November 2021 to March 2022. In the past, there emerged a regularity of no coincidences in the decisions by the board and Adam Aron. CEO Adam Aron sold from November 2021 to January 2022. Chief Financial Officer Sean Goodman sold from November 2021 and selling the remaining shares on November 9th, 2021. Executive Vice President Elizabeth Frank sold by December 29th, 2021, with more by March 2022. And Executive Vice President Kevin Connor sold by December 29th, 2021.
A year ago or so, the air was thick with tales of corporate scandal, lost pension funds, big-time theft, and even bigger-time prison sentences for the Enron gang. Then there was Dennis Kozlowski, CEO of Tyco, who was found guilty of, in effect, using Tyco's immense financial resources for what the prosecution described as his own personal piggy bank. Far more serious was the allegation that Kozlowski literally stole money from Tyco. He and his second-in-command, Mark Swartz, were charged with stealing $170 million and pocketing an additional $430 million through the sale of company stock, while lying about Tyco's financial condition.
While it is uncertain how much the executives or anyone connected to them knew after the proposal of Project Popcorn, more executives sold both before and after Van Zandt's disclosure to the board of directors, some before Project Popcorn took effect. The dates below line up close enough to dismiss the sales completely as coincidental. Executive Vice President Stephen Colabero sold the majority of his shares by November 2021 to March 2022, pocketing $7.8 million. Board member and Epic Games President Adam J. Sussman sold from January 2021 to January 2023 for $710,000. Board member and Daewoo Professor of International Affairs at Harvard Kennedy School, Anthony J. Sage, sold from January 2021 to January 2023 for $1.44 million. Senior Vice President of Human Resources Carla C. Chavaria sold from January 2021 to January 2023 for $2.52 million. Senior Vice President and Chief Accounting Officer Chris A. Cox sold from January 2021 to January 2023 for $3.6 million. Executive Vice President, Chief Operations and Developmental Officer Daniel E. Ellis sold for $6.03 million. Former United States Commerce Secretary, Envoy to the Chinese government, Harvard Kennedy School visiting fellow in 2016, and Board of Directors for AMC Gary F. Locke sold from January 2021 to January 2023 for $1.8 million. Film producer and board member Howard W. Hawk Koch sold from January 2021 to January 2023 for $250,000. Board member Kathleen M. Paulus, Audit Committee Chair of the Compensation Committee and Ernst & Young retired partner, sold from January 2021 to January 2023 for $1.05 million. Board member and Silver Lake Managing Director in charge of compensation, Lee Whitlinger, sold from January 2021 to January 2023 for $260,000. Council on Foreign Relations member Morgan Stanley's Philip Latter sold as a board member for $700,000 from January 2021 to January 2023.
So how does it work? First, we've created these little tiny tubes.
Financial professional Patrick Boyle from Patrick Boyle on Finance explains insider trading.
Now, when most people hear the term insider trading, they think of the crime, but insider trading is just the trading of a public company's securities by people with access to non-public or insider information about the company. There are rules about how insiders are allowed to trade, forms they have to fill out, and so on, and these differ around the world. Insider trading becomes illegal when a person bases their trading decision on information that the public does not know.
An immunologist turned entrepreneur, Waxel developed a promising cancer drug, engineered the biggest deal in the history of biotechnology, and then self-destructed in an insider trading scandal that also led to the indictment of one of his most famous friends, Martha Stewart.
What happened was that Sam Waxel did something very, very stupid. He told his daughter to sell her shares.
Knowing that the price was about to go down.
Thinking that the price was about to go down. Yeah.
It's a matter of public record that you tried to sell some of your own shares.
79,000 shares. I had millions of shares at the time, and transferred those shares to Eliza, thinking that if she sold them, that was okay. I wasn't doing the selling.
The 79,000 shares, that's about $5 million worth, right?
That's correct.
You're a corporate officer. I mean, you're supposed to know that you can't do that, right?
Absolutely.
Did you know that the SEC routinely checks the names of relatives in stocks traded when there's a big drop?
Do I know that when I think about it? Absolutely. Did I think about it at the time? Obviously not. I just acted irresponsibly. I didn't think I was going to get caught at all. Did I know that I had committed an illegal act? Yeah, I knew.
I mean, he is not someone who caused the collapse of WorldCom, for example. But those people are going to get a lot more jail time than he got.
The CEO, Bernie Ebbers, was sentenced to 25 years in prison. The CFO, Scott Sullivan, testified against Ebbers, so he was only sentenced to 5 years. In 2009, he was released after only serving 4, and there were other convictions as well. Now, as far as the people that were tricked into buying these securities, there was a class action lawsuit against a bunch of banks, including Citigroup and JP Morgan, that ended in a $6 billion settlement, most of which went to the bondholders. The SEC issued a civil penalty for $2.25 billion and a settlement with the new MCI where they paid the shareholders and bondholders a combined $750 million in cash and stock. Arthur Andersen, their accounting firm during these years, who, let's face it, should have picked up on some of this, agreed to a $65 million settlement with the investors. By the way, no one admitted any fault in any of these settlements. So that's how it ended. WorldCom joined Enron and a few other major accounting scandals at the time that led to a bunch of stricter accounting rules designed to prevent this sort of thing from happening in the future.
Putting my employees in a situation where the company that they worked for and loved was being mentioned in the same breath as Enron and WorldCom. And I look at that in many ways as a deplorable sin.
Sam Waxel was the CEO of ImClone, a biotech company. He learned that the FDA had rejected their main product for approval and quickly dumped his $5 million worth of shares. It's illegal to trade stock in a company based on insider information, and it's also illegal to pass on that information to another person so that they can trade. In such a situation, the person passing on the information is breaking the law, as is the person receiving it if they trade on the information.
38%, I think year to date it's down pretty sharply too. All of that makes your stock sales at the end of last year look pretty well timed. I think $42 million you sold. At the time you said you would not be selling anymore. Is that still the case?
Yeah, I'm not selling stock.
Today I want to talk about the possibility of a Moass before Christmas. Now you may already know, I don't really like setting specific dates and times for the squeeze, so today I want to talk about the key catalysts and how everything seems to be falling into place at the moment.
Before Thomas Smallbone's repetitive message that a Moass would eventually occur in December, other AMC influencers, including an actual financial advisor, Canada's Peter Hann, engaged with shareholders online, promoting the eventual Moass, followed suit by Randall Cornett, both men associated with Brian Reis. Marcel Kalinovic introduced the community to former banker Dr. Marco Metzler, the two predicting the demise of Chinese financial powerhouse Evergrande.
In the next couple of weeks. My name is Marco Metzler. I'm a German national. I studied business administration in Cologne, Germany. Then I went to London and was in '97. I started as an investment banker in London with UBS Warburgs. In that report, we highlighted that it's a high risk that with the bankruptcy of Evergrande, it comes to really a meltdown of the global economy, which we have not seen so far. It's even worse than in the late 20s in 1929, and even worse than that. And this is the first domino stone to fall, and I felt the obligation to make that happen because nobody wanted to do that.
Retail shareholders floated the idea on social media of an NFT as a dividend, an incentive for them to keep their investment, and a mechanism acting as a long-sought-after share count that would expose the actual number of shares in existence, proving if naked short selling existed within the stock. Adam Aron shot the idea down by saying it was likely illegal, and to beware of concepts that sound easy and too good to be true. Ironically, this was 1 month after Project Popcorn was introduced. The only news coming from AMC was a positive tone given the financial position the Apes gave to Adam Aron and its board of directors.
Thursday to Sunday, we just blew all of the post-pandemic records. 7 million people came to our theaters between Thursday and Sunday, mostly to watch the new Spider-Man No Way Home movie. These were records. We set a new record Thursday, a new record again on Friday, a new record again on Saturday. Just to put 7 million guests in a weekend in perspective, we didn't do 7 million tickets in the entire first quarter of 2021. And that tells me that movie going at cinemas is back.
2021 was coming to a close, and Adam Aron reiterated his support for the general populace becoming a part of Wall Street for the first time in history. At the beginning of 2022, Aron tweeted, "There is no guarantee for the success of AMC," after having record box office revenue. He then disclosed that he planned to sell more shares as part of estate planning, which was out of his hands. The argument that Aron uses to relate with retail investors as a shareholder himself is sometimes referred to as a form of propaganda called plain folk.
One of us. But what? But I am one of you.
He's one of us.
Recognize the technique? That must be what you call plain folks. That's right.
The idea here is that you will be suckered in by the argument that the common man unanimously understands this. Another phrase like, it's just common sense.
Canadian financial professional Peter Hann tweets twice about the certainty of the Moass to his followers and the rest of the people on social media. Back before Adam Aron's second interview with Trey Collins, rumors surfaced within the community that a reverse stock split would eventually occur. Aron assuaged the concerns of the retail investors with these announcements.
Somebody out there in the world of Reddit and Twitter was trying to speculate that AMC was either going to split our stock or do a reverse split of our stock. And they were breathlessly reporting this as if they knew this to be true. Well, guess what? I can tell you that I've never given any serious thought to splitting our stock or a reverse split of our stock. That's point number one. Point number two, we have absolutely no plans to split our stock or do a reverse split of our stock.
Reverse stock split and then issuing new shares? Is that on the table?
That's not on the table. And my understanding of the law is that if we did a reverse stock split, that would also contract the number of shares we're allowed to issue. So it's not like if you did a reverse stock split, all of a sudden you'd have hundreds of millions of shares that you can sell. But given where our stock is trading at the moment, I don't think a reverse stock split would make sense under any circumstance.
Reverse stock split and why it is one horrible idea.
The rumors reemerged, and Anthony Franzetti warned the community of the devastating results should a reverse stock split happen to AMC.
Now, towards the end of this video, I'm going to give you the complete horror situation that a reverse stock split would lead us into. But first, let's talk about the key assumptions that Angelo got incorrect, why the premise of his video is entirely wrong. I want to share this information with you tonight in case you were wondering wondering, is a reverse stock split a great idea? And I know I'm going to get questions tomorrow on my live stream about it, so now we'll have a place to send people for their real information. If a reverse split happens with AMC, sure enough, we're going to be asking, why did we do this? If you who've been in the market for any time know that reverse stock splits are usually a death knell for a company. The price might rise overnight after the split goes into effect, but almost inevitably the stocks plummet. Not so exciting now, is it? So why is it dangerous? Because when a reverse stock split happens, it does not change the number of authorized shares for the corporation. That number of authorized shares still remains authorized at 513 million shares. And so now AMC is sitting with a float of just over 100 million shares and 400 million shares that they could now issue at the new stock price. Now we are talking massive new potential dilution if the company decides that it needs to generate some additional cash. The prospect of that alone should be enough to end this discussion today about a reverse stock split for AMC.
On January 26, 2022, Marcel K again encouraged his followers to buy and hold in anticipation of new all-time highs, giving financial and legal advice all in one message. Anthony Franzetti added 2 days later that a Moass is coming when quoting a message from SEC Chairman Gary Gensler. While consistently speaking about financial advice in January 2022, Reis admitted to his audience that he promoted market manipulation openly on his channel.
You guys, you're looking at this completely wrong. First of all, what this tells me is they have no answer for buy and hold. This is how we fight them. We need to hold, buy and hold. Like I said, they still have no answer for buy or hold. They can sit there and do their little fuckery all day long, but they clearly, like I said, everybody who thinks that AMC's GameStop's hit their all-time highs, you guys are nuts. Buying AMC, GME, concentrating volume, yeah, that might be market manipulation. Why do you think they call it market manipulation? When you concentrate on two stocks like that, they call it market manipulation because the system is not set up to have people continuously buying and holding two stocks. It's not continuously set up to where, all right, we can hide this forever because suddenly the float will be gone.
January exited with AMC's cost to borrowing shares at an enormous interest. In his first tweet of February 2022, AMC CEO sent a message to his followers about the continued positive outlook for the company. Others believe that it was one of many more deceptive tweets to come. In an updated statement of facts from concerned retail shareholders, the message appears to be part of a deliberate communication strategy aimed at fostering a positive sentiment around AMC stock by Aron. The social media hype from Aron's followers contributed to a narrative of financial misrepresentation. Despite the reported catastrophic financial state of AMC, marked by the second largest annual loss in the company's history, the touted EBITDA milestone was only beneficial for executives and their compensation packages because their bonuses were based on that embezzlement construct. Aron, for instance, received his largest annual cash bonus of $6 million, raising questions about the alignment of executive rewards with the company's financial reality. The stark contrast between operating performance and executive compensation speaks for itself. Net losses AMC, $1,269 million. On the same day, Anthony Franzetti questions if the pre-market movement by the stock is the mystical Moass he and his fellow influencers have been predicting for months. Later in the week, Catherine Larson tweets about her strong conviction to fight hedge funds, knowingly or unknowingly aware of Project Popcorn's existence. With still no Moass, AMC Bigham's Brian Reis keeps his audience waiting for the phantom spectacular payday.
We're going to talk about the Great Reset. We're going to talk about the Moass, just a whole bunch of stuff. So I want to get into this video right away. It's going to be rather long.
Adam Aron publicly acknowledges the high short interest of AMC on the 11th of February. Franzetti throws his support behind Adam Aron. 2 days later, he defends Aron from community criticism over suspicions about Morgan Stanley board member Phillip Pitts. He is highlighted in part 2 of this series.
Agree or disagree about having Phillip Pitts on the board?
I don't even let you finish the question. Totally disagree.
Among the many things Discovery did for the retail shareholders was reveal that on February 17th, 2022, the AMC board members met with Derek Van Zandt, where his rights offering to the same shareholders would be a 1-for-1 offering. Each preferred share would eventually convert into one common stock, 1-for-1. He explained that the company was short on common shares but had 50 million shares of preferred stock which might be used to raise cash. Preferred stock offerings traditionally pay a high dividend, are convertible, and are sold to large institutions. The company is restricted from paying cash dividends and plans to offer the preferred shares to its retail stockholder base through a rights offering, which is common in Europe but less so in the US. One AMC preferred unit would convert into 1 share of common stock, subject to stockholder authorization. The preferred unit would be listed and trade on the NYSE and have an observable value. Our retail stockholders can purchase the preferred unit or sell the right, which is in itself a tradable security. The rights are dilutive, so the shareholders are incented to buy the shares to avoid dilution. AMC's board of directors attended a February 17, 2022 meeting with Citigroup's Zandt, where the supposed rights offering was to be called APE, AMC Preferred Equity Unit, named after the loyal retail shareholder base as a marketing ploy to get them on board with Project Popcorn without disclosing its nefarious underpinnings. Anthony Franzetti tweets about deleting tweets as evidence of a reporter's participation in criminal activity, or he presents it as evidence of the impending jackpot. Franzetti interestingly deleted references to a Moass or Buy and Hold from his ex-Twitter feed. Aron reached out to retail investors on February 22, 2022 to explain his stock ownership had risen, omitting that it was gifted to him because of his position in the company. He then eased their worries by telling them he would do what was right for shareholders, but ambiguously not distinguishing between institutional or retail investors, in itself a form of deceptive practice. Several days later, Anthony Franzetti plans a Moass video to pump up the stock of AMC and manipulate the markets through his channel and network of influencers, featuring some of them in the video. Aron adds to his arsenal inflation and the ongoing war in Ukraine as grounds for using bankruptcy as a constant weapon of fear-mongering against his retail investors, should AMC need to teeter on the edge based on how he wishes to control the narrative. In March 2022, a woman named Sequoia Blackwood began texting Adam Aron, calling herself Mia. She sent him pictures of a 17-year-old Russian model. Blackwood then requested that Aron send explicit photos of himself, and he obliged over a week-long conversation with her. On March 2, 2022, Aron announces that AMC still has $1.8 billion in liquidity, but shifts again to a cautious tone, back and forth from positive to negative, keeping retail guessing where AMC truly stands in a constant game, as if holding them captive to what to expect in the future.
And Robert Pattinson's The Batman sold more than 4 million tickets globally for the largest movie theater chain in the world, AMC Entertainment, for its 3rd highest attended weekend in 2 years. In his first appearance since The Batman hit his theaters, in AMC Entertainment Chairman, President, and CEO Adam Aron joins us. Adam, I understand there was a scramble today to update the box office numbers because Sunday ticket sales came in way better than expected. How did AMC fare? Give us your best numbers.
Well, what you just said, Liz, is correct, and boy, did we have a great weekend.
From March the 6th to March 13th, Brian Reis continues his posts about a Moass, joining in the chorus of Adam Aron's devoted spokespersons in promoting the expectant wealth transfer retail is hoping for. Aron announced the acquisition of a portion of the company, Hycroft. Critics derided Aron's position on the purchase. He countered by defending the investment, but some believed it was another pump-and-dump scheme designed to aid friend and colleague Jason Mudrick out of a poor financial decision, utilizing his loyal retail base as the source of continued income.
Mudrick Capital is the largest shareholder in Hycroft Mining. They own 40% of the company. Now, if you've been following AMC, you know that they have a history with Mudrick. Mudrick was the company that bailed out AMC last year. Mudrick bought $230 million worth of AMC stock, which gave AMC money that they desperately needed to stay alive. However, within a few minutes of the deal between Mudrick and AMC getting announced, Mudrick went on the air and said AMC stock was overvalued and that they had immediately sold their shares and that they had taken out a short position in the company. So that was really something of a backstabbing by Mudrick, because as soon as Adam Aron announces, hey, this company has taken out a big position in our company and bailed us out, that same company, now that all the cameras and microphones are pointed at them, they say, Adam Aron's AMC is overvalued, we dumped his stock already, and now we're short. Well, that's kind of a backstab, isn't it?
Anthony Franzetti cross-promotes with Marcel K. He adds 3 tickers to the post: AMC, GME, BBIG, and SNDL, ostensibly convincing his followers to buy these stock tickers for an eventual massive stock squeeze. Jim Cramer has Adam Aron on his show to explain the Hycroft acquisition.
You know, we knew we were going to take some flack when we did it. I think I read comments that it was bizarre, it was random, it was stupid, it was idiotic. Except there was one thing that we were certain of. We were going to make a lot of money.
Another thing that has to be mentioned is that as soon as this deal with AMC and Sprott was announced, Hycroft came out and announced a $500 million at-the-market offering of new shares. Basically means as soon as the deal with AMC and Sprott gets announced, Hycroft says we're probably going to dilute our shareholders. Now, I don't know if Adam Aron actually knew about this ahead of time or not. It's possible this is another backstabbing by Mudrick. Who knows? This is a very messy story. Of course, as soon as that $500 million at-the-market offering was announced, it immediately took the wind out of the sails. The stock had been ripping higher on the news of AMC taking out that position, but then the $500 million at-the-market equity offering gets announced, and the stock comes right back down, and now it's trading right around $1.40 a share, which is basically where it was before the AMC announcement. And another interesting thing is that the volume in call options in Hycroft was going absolutely ballistic before the announcement of AMC. So it really looks like somebody out there knew this deal was going to get announced and traded on that insider information. We don't know who, but it's a good bet the SEC is going to be looking into this.
Except there was one thing that we were certain of. We were going to make a lot of money.
Marcel K, who consistently stayed at Aron's disposal for assumed or free promotion, supported the purchase and attributed AMC's additional rise in stock to the acquisition of Hycroft.
Why is AMC moving? Hycroft mining. That's why we're at $30. Hycroft is squeezing. AMC is moving right along with it. That's why it's disconnected from the S&P movements at the moment. We know that it runs with the markets until margin calls and shorts start to cover. That's where we're at. At the same time, I managed to buy and hold today and did take some profits on some call contracts and continue to buy some more. So, peace and wealth, everybody. I think we're going to be so fucking rich.
Now, there have been massive short positions on Hycroft mining taken out in just the last few weeks. We don't know who has taken out these massive short positions, but I have a pretty good guess, and I'm speculating here, that if you look at who has been shorting Hycroft, you're probably going to find a lot of familiar names. Names such as Citadel Securities, Susquehanna, and Simplex Trading. Names that have been naked shorting AMC for years.
Randall Cornett pops up again, proclaiming that the MOAS would be life-changing for owners of AMC stock. Brian Reis claims people are sending him direct messages asking him if the MOAS would still happen. Without true behind-the-scenes knowledge as a member of the elite in Wall Street, he confidently assures his followers it will happen. He continues to support a MOAS, commanding his audience to help destroy banks.
So this video is going to be about AMC. We're going to talk about the MOAS, the digital dollar, Ken Griffin. We're going to talk about censorship.
After his video on the 17th of April, he tells his viewers again to buy and hold AMC shares, first stating on the 22nd that retail's adversaries had no answer for buy and hold, and on the 30th, as if sending a message to someone else, insists that retail never figured out buy and hold, something the influencers were pushing them to do. In May, Peter Hann tagged Catherine Larson in a tweet dated May 1st, alongside another colleague who helped Mr. Hann keep the MOAS narrative alive in the community, Crazy Lady Trader. In the additional tweet above, Catherine Larson's message displayed the cross-promotion aspect of the AMC influencers by tagging Marcel K in the often used phrase to gain support, shorts are f***ed, meaning those short-selling AMC's days were numbered. Anthony Franzetti then made 2 consecutive ambiguous tweets, one telling his followers to sell everything because of the market crash that never happened, and another implying that they should follow Warren Buffett's advice as Mr. Franzetti follows his advice. Brian Reis posts about the MOAS again on May 9th.
Good afternoon, you filthy apes. Welcome to AMC and ADD, where we buy, we hold, and we screw the hedgies.
Austin resident, former music student, and full-time stock YouTuber KCshaw, who goes by the name of AMC KC, attempts to forcibly tell his followers to buy and hold the stock, mirroring all the other influencers connected to him, including his closest colleague Anthony Franzetti. In probably his most bizarre, revealing, and self-hypocritical video, Mr. Franzetti repeats his virtuous stance to his viewers. His channel is the place to find the ultimate truth when it comes to the stock market, citing 30 years of seasoned investing experience but no actual credentials to back it up. He intends to separate himself from everyone else who deserves eternal damnation.
If you are a clickbaiter or spend your day putting out 5 videos reading posts off of Reddit that you know are fake information or hype information or misinformation, well, as far as I'm concerned, there is a special level of hell for you. And that is the reason that this channel is here, to provide people a source of positive, truthful information from a seasoned investor with over 30 years experience trading in the markets. What we do here on this channel is talk about the real facts, both positive and negative, and there will never be any clickbait on any stock on this channel giving you false information.
He then speaks of conviction, but never tells his audience the goal, suggesting what it is several times but never saying it directly. The implication is to not sell their shares due to a media blitz by hedge funds.
I've been dealing now with almost 6 months of the market going down, and I see every day people losing their conviction, questioning themselves, falling prey to exactly what the hedge funds want, the mass media messaging and the drumbeat of sell, 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 you made the wrong decision.
As an influencer on YouTube with a large platform talking about people's personal financial situations regarding their stock portfolio, he makes it a point to display that he does not give financial advice. At the end of the video, he says,
"Now this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor."
But before this statement, he gives direct financial advice.
But I advise each and every one of you, never show your position to anybody on YouTube, no matter what sort of manipulation they use to try and get you to disclose your position. Be part of the team. You're not an ape if you don't show it. That's all bullshit, guys.
In Mr. Franzetti's clear financial advice to his audience, he asks them not to show their positions, but decides to divulge some of his, but never really shows what it is. The audience must take his self-professed honesty to heart.
And talking to you about my positions and my conviction, let's get right into it.
He insists that the bad actors asking for stock verification can gather information by showing their number of shares owned, and assumed that his audience is not smart enough to protect themselves as he did.
People are out there fishing for information, putting up false hoops for you to jump through, and this is totally unnecessary. Number one, you might disclose information to someone who's gathering it for nefarious reasons.
The lack of showing his position as someone presenting himself as a stock guru exposes the probable fear of revealing his true trading history to his audience. This information was kept by most of the AMC influencers as personal.
I have stocks that none of you guys know about, because why do I need to tell you my stock?
Yet they do not mind getting involved in the personal lives of others and guiding them by giving them non-financial financial advice.
In fact, I've purchased AMC almost every single month since May of 2021 till now, a year later, everything between $8 and $40, and I occasionally put those purchases up in the community tab or Twitter so that you know that some of us who have been in this play for a long time still have the conviction and are still buying. And no, I am not day trading or swing trading this stock. I've been buying for a specific reason, that I think that this thing is going to have another squeeze opportunity. Guys, to see where I stand currently in my AMC play. Now recall, I bought the very first AMC shares in May of 2021. It was somewhere in the $8 to $10 price range. In fact, I trade a lot of options on different stocks at strategic times, not every day. Let's put a screenshot up of where my Webull account is, where I do the bulk of my options trading, and I'm going to show you the 1-year performance of where I'm at just in that account.
He then offers his trade record to the viewer, but you have to pay for that.
If you would like access to my trades, my thoughts, my opinions, I do have a Discord. There's a membership link down below this video. Now, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I've not reviewed your financial situation.
DF King, an advisement company in crucial issues concerning shareholders, specifically debt and equity transactions, had their senior managing director Jeffrey Weinberg, who suspiciously left the company after 2022, email two in-house AMC attorneys, Kevin Connors and Eddie Gladblack. It was also copied to external attorneys Mercedes Tate Harmon, Corey Shivers, and Michael Stein, and Weinberg's colleague at DF King, Crystal Scrudato, to discuss the preferred stock and the proportional voting used to lower the standard of voting to fully implement Project Popcorn. His email revealed that any ape would convert back into AMC common stock. Absent was any mention of paying down debt. 2 days later, Connor emails Aron, Eddie Gladblack, John Merriweather, and Sean Goodman, detailing APE as a unique dividend structure, allowing them to issue more common stock. In his pursuit to dilute more of the outstanding shares, Connor contacted the New York Stock Exchange, where they approved of the plan. Again, one of the many effects AMC's executive personnel wanted was not to raise equity to pay down debt. On May 27th, B. Riley Financial's chief business officer John Merriman scripted the most transparent email germane to any evidence pointing to their intentions to constrict AMC's stock price to an anemic value, citing examples of companies that experienced the devastating effects they were planning, fully cognizant that their plan would destroy shareholder value.
Melvin Capital, a hedge fund that got a lot of focus in the beginning of last year, seems to be shutting down. So I just wanted to just kind of keep this under 5 minutes or so. If any of you who were asleep for most of last year, a bunch of people on this Reddit group called Wall Street Bets realized that there was a lot of short interest in this stock called GameStop. Melvin Capital is... And what's interesting is this year, to add insult to injury, according to the links that I'll link to down below, they were trying to bill their customers more money. They were trying to add fees. Not only did you lose money when you could have just invested in index, and as a result, not only did they lose money last year and this year, but that hedge fund is gone. So if you're watching from Wall Street Bets, I don't know, you're probably sitting in your chair laughing at this. And if you are, I don't know. I don't blame you.
In late May, Marcel Kalinovic added to his multiple failed theories that an executive order from President Biden would cause another AMC squeeze.
Presume that that's exactly what we're going to see. Massive margin calls and a short squeeze of a generation, of a lifetime, probably because this is the kind of thing that only happens every few hundreds of years, basically. I think we're going to have a repeat of January and June, except this time because China's invading Taiwan practically. They're not going to back it up. They're not going to continue to push it back.
If you own AMC and GameStop, especially if you own them prior to the previous squeezes and did not sell because someone on YouTube told you it was going to $1 million, well, I understand it can be particularly infuriating.
I don't think it's going to do shit to slow things down, except maybe it'll keep us from going to $10 million. Maybe we'll only go to $1 million.
The Securities and Exchange Commission was founded with the task of protecting retail investors. Instead, after complaining about the lack of resources to go after bad actors decimating the stock market, and despite their deep connections to the hedge funds, they produced a video of mocking shareholders of GameStop and other meme stocks.
I'll take meme stocks. Invest!
Ouch! Aron appeared on CNBC's Squawk Box to laud the success of Top Gun 2's record-setting box office, while still having time to suggest that AMC is again attempting to recover from the debt he placed on AMC's shoulders pre-pandemic.
3.3 million people watched Top Gun over this Memorial Day holiday weekend. It is the biggest Memorial Day weekend movie of all time. I actually think that when Paramount releases numbers today, they'll be higher than what you've seen in the press reports. This is 2.5 times the biggest Tom Cruise movie opening ever. We're just euphoric. So we're excited, we're confident. We know that we're on a path to recovery from 26 months of pandemic.
You pointed out that retail investors have really embraced your stock, have poured into it. I think at one point it was something like 80% of your shareholders were retail investors. Is that still the case? How closely do you track it?
We track it, and generally speaking, those are still the numbers. Plus or minus a point or two. But the numbers that we've said publicly were around 80%. As I said, plus or minus, it changes every day, but around 80%.
But we also said if you take out the index funds, who are forced to own our stock by definition, then retail investors are in the neighborhood of 85 to 90% of our shareholders. I have an enormous incentive to act like a shareholder and think like a shareholder because I am one of the largest AMC shareholders.
Peter Hann continues a pattern of promoting the MOAS early in the month to his supporters, blocking anyone that would disagree with him. Later in the week, he mentions buy and hold, suggesting that it is stressing the markets, i.e. that the retail strategy is working. On the same day, Brian Reis tweeted that buy and hold was the cause of the continued downfall of Melvin Capital. The following day, Reis informed his followers that he was buying and holding AMC. This suggests that others should do the same. On June 28, 2022, the Institutional Shareholder Services recommended investors withhold votes for 4 of AMC Entertainment's directors, including Chairman and CEO Adam Aron, ahead of the June 16th annual meeting. Anthony Franzetti carefully worded a tweet telling his followers that the ISS withheld recommendation for voting Adam Aron onto the board of directors along with 3 others. The ISS recommended shareholders withhold their vote for Adam Aron and the 3 others.
What we do here on this channel is talk about the real facts.
Peter Hann posted on the 10th of June 2022 his belief in the MOAS possibly prompting more investors to anticipate another increase in value to shareholders of AMC. Adam Aron breaks a long-standing silence about synthetic or counterfeit or fake shares, saying he sees no evidence of them within AMC stock. Anthony Franzetti intends to meet Adam Aron at an upcoming meet and greet on July 24th.
How about that tweet yesterday from Adam Aron talking about share count? And there were almost 4,000 replies to this tweet, and a couple people got really mad that I dared to have an opinion. Let's talk about that right now, because guys, I don't want anyone to have their feelings hurt if I share an opinion. And really what I want to know, CEO Adam Aron, who I think, by the way, is doing a fantastic job. I say that over and over. CEO Adam is doing a great job. Even that is a contentious comment in some circles. How dare you support Adam Aron? How dare you not support Adam Aron? Guys, let the man do his job. He's getting the company back to profitability. I know others of you are really upset about the last sentence in this tweet where Adam says we've seen no reliable info on so-called synthetic or fake shares. And I know you have questions about that too. And so do I. And maybe he can't talk about them right now. But realize there is some legal jeopardy for him to say more than this. I realize it. I know some of you realize it. And I know others of you realize it and don't care because you want him to press the issue. And that is fine. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. And that's what this whole grand social media experiment of YouTube and Twitter and Facebook and everything is about. All of us sharing our thoughts and our opinions. And at the end of the day, we all have the same goal, supporting this company, supporting this CEO, because like it or not, he is our CEO.
In part 4 of this series, an in-depth presentation of counterfeit shares as theft is explained, but here is a short example.
In March 2005, the Senate Banking Committee confronted then SEC Chairman William Donaldson with a story about Frank DeBrookie's company, the Nevada-based real estate holding company Global Links. An investor named Robert Simpson had set out to prove that small companies were indeed frequent targets of abusive naked short sellers. Simpson placed an order for $5,000 worth of stock in Global Links. That got Simpson ownership of all 1.1 million Global Link shares in the market. Not some of them, all of them.
There were no shares available to be borrowed, and yet in 2 days there were over 50 million shares traded. That's clearly something that needs work.
I was absolutely blown away when I bought 1,282,050 shares, which equated to 111% of the issued and outstanding.
At the June 16th annual meeting, AMC stockholders rejected Adam Aron's compensation package. Marcel K disingenuously posts that diluting AMC would probably start the MOAS, providing no evidence and calling everything else wrong when historically the opposite occurs when decreasing the value of anything. He tags Adam Aron to garner his attention. Again, a month earlier, Anthony Franzetti said this:
that are fake information or hype information or misinformation. Well, as far as I'm concerned, there is a special level of hell for you.
He released his Moass hype video promised earlier in the year and relabeled it as an AMC tribute, highlighting the same people like Brian Reis and Marcel K who continued to pump the stock price.
Rise up just so they could see me. Did what I had accountability. They want the credibility. Don't be fucking sour. Take a cold.
He also placed emphasis on Marcel Kalinovic's executive order deception, that it would cause a generational transfer of wealth.
It's your company. I have the privilege of working for you, and I think we're doing good things. As I said, I'm going to stay after the movie. I'm guessing I'm going to shake a lot of hands, take a lot of pictures.
The United States Congress published the GameStop report, detailing the January 2021 meme stock squeeze. During the run-ups of both GameStop and AMC, Robinhood and several other brokers restricted the use of the buy button to retail shareholders.
Regular old suits attacking the trust GameStop by shorting its stock. And then to the rescue, here comes the retail investors, and they're taking stock to these incredible levels. And all of a sudden, Robinhood steps in, but not to help the little guy. He steps in and says, I'm gonna help the big guy, and stops the sale, because no one knows how high this is going to go. And who's getting it? Who's getting socked in this thing? The bullies are the hedge funds. And that's why people were excited about this. But all of a sudden, Robinhood steps in and they say, no, we had to do this because of other conditions. And my good friends, the Republicans, say it was government, really. It was, because the government regulations forced them to do this.
Congress asked the CEO of Citadel Securities if he aided Robinhood in the restriction of the buy button to retail shareholders.
The public thinks that there was collusion, that the big guys, all of you guys, were figuring out how to do this and ultimately come out ahead, as you always do. Now, I have to ask this. You said that you didn't talk to anybody of Citadel Securities. Did anyone in your organization since January 1st contact Robinhood, restricting or doing anything to prevent people from buying, not selling, but buying in GameStop?
Let me be.
Anybody in your organization?
Let me be perfectly clear. Absolutely not.
It was later revealed that Ken Griffin perjured himself due to internal messages uncovered between Citadel Securities and Robinhood to the contrary. On June 27, 2022, Franzetti released a video of he and ardent self-appointed mathematical master and stock market sage KCshaw, both of them meeting with Adam Aron. He labeled the video a comedy skit, while others believed it was an indication that Mr. Aron welcomed them into the public relations team in gathering more support he would need going into the future.
Let's go. Yeah. I'm like an addict, do I gotta have it. I ain't even playing, got a really bad habit. If it moves, gotta grab it, fuse like a magnet.
Hey guys, Tony DeNaro here with KCshaw. How's everybody doing? We just got through here in Dallas watching the Elvis premiere with Adam Aron hosting the event. KC, do you have anything you want to say about the movie? Or
the movie was really good. I had no idea that Elvis's middle name was Aron, believe it or not, of all things. And also I had a chance to ask, I asked him if he would talk to Hot Koch, whether or not we could get a chance to interview him and talk about some of his movie pictures.
The movie was fantastic. It is a long movie, 3 hours long, so don't drink too much before you go inside. I know a lot of you guys were wanting to know the question that we were waiting to ask. The reason we drove all the way up here from Austin to ask Adam Aron about the synthetics, and we did get an answer. Adam said that they are...
Adam Aron's Batman tweet from July 3rd, 2022 tied in with the new film's release, indicating his anticipation of a large box office return from the film. Some of the apes led the charge in attempting to decipher his message, which usually do contain a double meaning. In this case, it is safe to assume he meant the amount of money he and everyone else involved in Project Popcorn would be making in the coming months. Kolinovic stayed on his message, promising his followers future wealth, and reported on AMC's high short interest.
475.7% for the maximum cost to borrow today on AMC. we're going to be so fucking rich.
Brian Reis did likewise, keeping his supporters still waiting on the spectacular squeeze of AMC stock. On July 7th, the AMC CEO used the phrase, "Wen Pounce." Most of his followers assumed this meant to address the short selling in AMC stock, but since social media is available to everyone, Adam Aron could have sent this to people aware of Project Popcorn. This tweet was the first allusion to the soon-to-be-released plan. Close to the middle of the month, Reis repeats his position on influencing retail investors in AMC by promoting buying and holding. He makes a similar message on the same day, but with more phantom authority levied onto the community as if he is certain of his stance, adding more stipulations that need to happen for his Moass to occur. On the 20th, AMC repurchased some of their debt, $72.5 million, a small amount to their sizable existing obligation. Tony DeNaro spoke of a possible dividend coming to retail investors only a few weeks before an artificial one is announced. Whether he had prior knowledge to this before or after his meeting with Adam Aron remains to be discovered.
Hey guys, Tony DeNaro here for an explanation on the AMC debt reduction, what it will mean to you, and to answer your question about can AMC now pay a dividend, check out the video I just dropped. And if you are available and want to talk stocks tonight, please join us on the live stream starting at 8:30 p.m. Central.
However, also on the 20th, Sean Goodman sent a memorandum to the AMC Board of Directors informing them that APE would not be a rights offering as originally planned, but an ATM at the market offering to raise equity. The great risk to shareholder assets was still undisclosed. On the 21st, John Merriweather acknowledged a sweet spot that does not raise the ire of shareholders, knowing full well that APE's intent was to dilute AMC stock. It was designed to be released slowly and increase over time.
The birth of consumption, consumerism, allowed corporations and politicians to placate people with goods. As long as people were happy, they were happy because they were buying things, their desires were met, then all they would ever focus on is continuing to buy more and more things.
The rest of you, I'm just guessing, I don't know for sure, but I think you're apes.
Let's
Where people are literally hyper-focused on just endless, mindless entertainment and pleasure, and they care about nothing else. They have no interest in how the world works or politics or wars, as long as they are entertained and happy.
So when I say thank you for being here, what I really mean is that to those of you who are shareholders of AMC, thanks for being part of the journey with us. An incredible story. Someday they're going to make a movie about you and us and what we all just went through.
So why is this placated public a good thing? Basically, the elites are scared of the crowd. The crowd being all of these people smushed together in cities. The elites, the people in power, the wealthy, they saw these giant, giant populations of people and thought, they're dangerous, they're irrational, they're unintelligent, they're not educated. We need to distract them and keep them as far away from the political process as possible.
Our company made $800 million of new cash every year, regular as clockwork. All of a sudden, we're losing $4 or $5 million a day. And it looked like we were going to run out of cash 5 times in 2020, 5 different times. And we kept on raising money. $300 million here, $500 million here, $700 million here. We just kept raising money. And we dodged the bullet over and over. And in January 2021, we raised $1.2 billion. And finally, that was enough that we knew that we could make it.
So obviously the elites benefit from this in multiple ways. Many of them are the owners or CEOs of these major corporations. So literally when people spend, it profits them directly, it makes them richer. But also the lack of attention or lack of interest from the public just makes it easier for them to do whatever they want, be that lobbying Congress or any other shady deals that they want to be swept under the rug without the notice of the people.
we made it. We raised $1 billion and like bankruptcy's off the table and we're fine. And on the Wednesday, January 27th of last year, our stock went from $5 a share to $20 a share in one day. And we traded on the New York Stock Exchange more shares than I know how to count. At the time, we had 100 million shares outstanding. Total share count. And 50 million of them were in the pocket of one large institutional holder who was not trading stock. So we really only had 50 million shares that traded. On that one day, that day that our stock quadrupled, that one day, we traded 1,250 million shares in a day. We only had 50 million shares that traded at all. And they turned over like 25 times. And what became very clear in a very short period of time is that all the institutions had sold their shares to all of you. And I learned in March of 2021 that instead of having 80% of our shares being owned by institutions, like just about every other company on the New York Stock Exchange, 80% of our shares, actually it was 70 then, 70% of our shares were owned by individual investors. Because between January of 2021 and June of 2021, we raised another $1 billion. And it's that last $1 billion that allowed us to survive this Omicron variant. And as we sit here today, we've got $1 billion in the bank.
According to Retail Investors' Statement of Facts, on the 27th of January, there was 340 million shares outstanding, not the 100 million shares that Aron had mentioned. Aron also claimed that the float turned over like 25 times. AMC's Board Compensation Committee met on the 25th of July to approve the new approach to the issuance of APE. In another clear sign they were aware of the malicious intent to destroy shareholder equity, they admitted to the foreknowledge of the reduction in shareholder value. Aron answered on the same day saying, "The single most impactful action that AMC will take in all of the calendar year of 2022 is to avoid any future liquidity trap." The next day, on the 28th, Aron makes a clear distinction that APE is a second currency and not the dividend they are hoping the retail investors will believe. August 2022 was the most pivotal moment in AMC's long history. Without undisclosed information concerning AMC's CEOs of the past, it is unclear whether they committed any securities fraud, market manipulation, embezzlement, racketeering, disregard for their fiduciary duty to retail shareholders, engaged in a panoramic marketing scheme with the help of others from all levels of the socio-economic spectrum, and withheld information to their loyal retail shareholders. One thing is self-evident in the detailed examination of Project Popcorn. Adam Maximilian Aron led the way in deceiving his retail investors by wrapping up Project Popcorn in a palatable package, deceiving the apes into believing it was advantageous to their investment. It was an unprecedented disregard for the levels of civil and criminal law not committed by any AMC CEO before him. On the 4th day of August, he penned a letter to his loyal shareholders. He coined the phrase, "Today we pounce." A majority of the shareholders believed this meant he would go after short sellers. There are various notable statements within the letter that bear examination. Aron did not hide the fact that most of the issues that he was addressing were the concerns of his retail shareholders. He stated that this issuance of 516,825,595 new apes will essentially serve the same purpose as the much-voiced request for a share count, as the new AMC preferred equity unit will only go to holders of a company issued and outstanding AMC common shares. Again, today we answered your call. Aron later called APE a dividend, because the dividend is only distributed to our current shareholder base as of the dividend record date. There is also no dilution from this initial issuance of the apes associated with this dividend, because these new apes all go and only go to holders of company-issued AMC common shares. The number of issued and outstanding AMC common shares will remain at 516,820,595 after the dividend is paid, and each shareholder also will own one ape for every share of AMC common stock held. Think of this as being very similar to a 2-for-1 stock split, except that in a stock split, you get 2 shares of new common stock for every 1 old common share. In the case of AMC being announced today, however, you would own 1 share and 1 ape in lieu of just 1 common share. Since this stock dividend move being announced today is like a stock split, it is logical to assume that once the dividend is issued, the price of our common shares will fall. Vitally, however, as an investor, you would not own only a single share, you would own instead a share and an ape. So your economic interest in AMC would be the price of a share plus the price of an ape. While each ape is designed to have the same rights as a common share and can convert into a share of common stock, that conversion decision is solely up to you. Conversion can only take place if the company proposes and shareholders, including ape holders, vote to approve the authorization of additional common shares at a future AMC stockholders meeting. That is still your call to make. Also on August 4th, Aron reiterated some of the letter's points in an infamous tweet storm laying out the specifics of Project Popcorn, but presenting it as a benefit to retail shareholders' investments. Relevant parts from each tweet include 1. Identification of the assistance he received from colleagues playing 3D chess, suggesting he is handling retail's concerns because this is what retail wanted. In other words, you made me do this to you. Number 2, he refers to an open letter and calls APE a dividend. 3, he mentions that APE is a stock split, a derivative of AMC's common stock. APE as a tax-free dividend was an inconsequential selling point. APE was not a dividend in the truest sense because dividends are taxed. APE was shareholder equity.
You are going to get taxed on your dividends because that dividend is taxable income.
Aron presented APE as a share count. There was no audit afterwards to see who legitimately received the faux dividend. 2 years since its release, there is still no share count despite Aron's assertion that it would only go to current retail shareholders. After it is introduced to the New York Stock Exchange, APE could be owned by anyone. Anyone could be a part of his share count. To satiate the loyal apes, Aron provided them with the much sought-after NFT, which did nothing but symbolize the consolation prize to the stripping of retail's wealth. Aron then pandered to the international shareholders of AMC, allowing them to participate in owning the nearly worthless digital assets. In 2023, when the international investors needed to be notified of a court case blocking the reverse stock split planned by Project Popcorn, Aron's communication to international investors disappeared. Shifting the blame as Aron often does, he allocates the creation of APE to its approval in 2013 when Jerry Lopez was CEO. Again, as in his first tweet, the culpability does not fall on Aron and the board's decision to willingly disregard securities laws, but on the retail shareholders. The shareholders from 2013 most likely no longer owned the stock at the time of this post. Any conversion in the future would have to be voted on by the shareholders. Unbeknownst to the apes, the vote was decided months in advance. APE converted back to AMC in late 2023. In his 11th post, he said the decision was made to pay down debt, but as we will see later, he did so at one of the lowest possible prices APE was listed for, not strengthening AMC but keeping it captive as long as it generated income to maintain operations and in sufficient debt. On the same day, Marcel K, presenting himself as a simple retail investor for more than a year, assumedly gained inordinate popularity over his peers. His influence allowed him to interview the CEO of Hycroft Mining with no disclosed connection to retail investors on how it was possible.
And thanks for joining us, Dr. Garrett. We appreciate having you.
Hi, Dan. This is Pantheon. It's really a pleasure to speak with you here today.
The next day, Catherine Larson injected a string of false claims after the announcement of Project Popcorn under the guise of APE's stock split from AMC. She suggested Aron registered the entire AMC float. Aron's announcement of Ape caused the price of AMC to drop 9.7%. In defending the issuance of Ape, Franzetti patted himself on the back for his failed predictions, amalgamating them into the possible catalyst in the Ape share, while clinging to being the only person in the community right about everything, shaming other YouTubers who sounded the alarm on Ape's devious ploy. Franzetti then disgraced some who luckily sold their Ape shares and were able to escape Project Popcorn's ultimate goal. He proceeded to give financial advice, telling his subscribers a consortium formed to read the SEC filing on Ape, because of course, they were the only ones able to understand it. Based on his connections, one can deduce that KCshaw, an unknown individual by the name of Pantheon.
And as always, remember, when's the Moass? Well, the Moass is tomorrow. Now, did it happen? Well, if the answer is yes, collect your tendies. And if the answer is no, the Moass is tomorrow.
Marcel K, Brian Reis, Massachusetts resident, the Massalorian, and possibly several others, including a consistent guest on his channel, former Goldman Sachs member and rumored bondholder of AMC, Mei-Ling Lai.
Thursday afternoon, the unknown catalyst. Yes, I've been talking to you for a year now about the unknown catalyst, a term that I coined to describe an event that no hedge fund could have possibly imagined happening, and the Ape unit might just be that unknown catalyst. On Thursday afternoon and Thursday evening on Twitter and on YouTube, I was urging people to be calm, allow us time to fully digest exactly what this Ape unit is going to mean. There's been massive misinformation and FUD put out both by mainstream media, trade journals like the Wall Street Journal, who are exaggerating the impact and the downside of something like this because they didn't take the time to read the documents and understand exactly what is going on. And the same sort of misinformation has been put out by people within this community who rushed out videos or tweets without taking the proper time to understand what the Ape unit is and what its potential is. To be fair, I don't blame anybody for getting it wrong. In the past 36 hours, we've had a team of dedicated investors, researchers looking into all of these documents and having deep discussions about both the pros and the cons of what this Ape unit is and what it's going to mean to you, the investor. It is my hope that by the end of the day today, I will have a video out as well as the other researchers that I have been working with to explain to you guys exactly what is going on with the Ape unit, clear up all of the misinformation, provide you the exact details. So stay tuned to this channel. Stay tuned to some of your other favorite content providers. There will be updates coming out this weekend, and I think we can answer a lot of your questions clearly and concisely because we've taken the time to understand exactly what this is going to mean.
Aron returned to Twitter to ease the doubts of retail, continuing to call Ape a stock dividend. However, a true dividend is derived from a company's surplus.
A dividend is a cash distribution by a company to its shareholders.
A dividend is the distribution of some of a company's earnings to a class of its shareholders as a reward for their investment, and it usually originates from the company's net profits.
AMC was still saddled with debt and unable to issue any dividends. Though Ape was a stock dividend, it was essentially AMC's value split in two, given a different name, and moved to a separate stock ticker, dividing and isolating its worth. The subject of dilution returned, but Aron said it would be good for AMC to dilute, citing a successful record disputed by the same record of the continual drop in stock price when Aron does so. He then mentions the price split, but combined they would be the same. Aron spoke of the dividend as a payout, which it wasn't, and that there would be dilution after August 22nd to issue more apes. Aron redirected who Ape was intended to be used against as an offensive weapon, the doubters, ending his post with another popular community phrase, #checkmate. Out of the 5 influencers, not including Trey Collins, Catherine Larson was the first to meet Adam Aron during a meet and greet in December of 2021, a month after Project Popcorn was presented to the board of directors. She was also, before Aron, first to apply the phrase checkmate to the possibility that Aron would deliver the apes from the short hedge funds the apes had been battling for a year.
So, break this down for us, Adam. It's Julie here. So, how will this allow you to walk us through how this allows you to raise cash? Because the first issuance of these shares will be to existing shareholders, correct? So that doesn't raise cash for you. It would be if there was a wave at some point where you would actually sell shares, correct?
What you just described is accurate. So what we are doing in the creation of preferred equity is we're doing what I guess it's called a stock dividend, but it operates like a stock split, so to speak. I can tell you that I've never given any serious thought to splitting our stock or a reverse split of our stock. That's point number 1. Point number 2, we have absolutely no plans to split our stock or do a reverse split of our stock. In a stock split, if you had a common share, it's split, you got 2 common shares in a 2-to-1 stock split. In our case, you'll get 1 preferred APE unit and a common share for the old common share. So that doesn't raise any cash for the company. That just puts apes into circulation in the hands of our shareholders. Having said that, the authorization that we received from shareholders back in 2013 is that we could theoretically, not that we ever would, but we could theoretically issue up to 5 billion of these things. Now, it would be foolish to do that. The market wouldn't support that. Our shares are precious things. We treat them as such. We'll only take what we believe is smart, wise action. Having said that, part of that smart, wise action, down the road, when we wish to, we could sell more apes into the market in addition to the 517 million that go out on day 1 in terms of this stock dividend.
And also, at some point, these preferred shares could be convertible into the common shares of the company. Now, earlier this year, your shareholders said they didn't want you to issue more common shares. What do you think would make those circumstances change? And would you be able to convince shareholders at some point to convert those shares or to issue more common stock?
Well, this is really important, Julie. The shareholders didn't say no, that they did not want us to issue more common stock. It was last summer, May, June, July. We had it out for a shareholder vote. The vote was split. It was actually running favorable in favor of a stock issuance.
Despite PR campaigns, both votes for the issuance of new common shares were not in favor of the board's recommendation. The July 29, 2021 vote, the vote pulled for consideration, was not close. On the 8th of August, Brian Reis posted about Project Popcorn's plans of converting Ape back into AMC and inferring that it would make AMC debt-free. The idea of an impending reverse stock split was unknown to retail, suggesting that Reis knew more than some were led to believe. Franzetti urged patience as the Ape community began to question whether the issuance of Ape would be detrimental to their investment. Patience would include not selling their investment, which is veiled silkily in his message. Larson again applied the checkmate phrase to short sellers, promoted Ape as being the mechanism to destroy their planned destruction of AMC, and made the claim that hedge funds were scared. This was often used by some of her encouraging influencers to convince people of its validity when never presenting any information to support the assertion that hedge funds were indeed frightened. On August 13th, Aron continued the card stacking in his favor, leaving out other details concerning the stock price. He continued to attribute his only positive result when diluting the stock occurring during AMC and GameStop's run-up in January of 2021, omitting the over-leveraging of hedge funds and shorting the stock, the naked shorting of both stocks, and the strong buying pressure the apes inflicted during the run-up. In an August 14th message to retail investors, Aron turned again to his "I am one of you" approach, explaining to the community that his dilution was not designed to screw investors because he is a shareholder, and that Ape was made to benefit retail investors. On August 18th, Aron cites Cineworld Regal Cinema's impending bankruptcy as a cautionary tale about the importance of the issuance of Ape for raising equity. Larson again promoted Ape's debut on the market. 2 days later, Franzetti uses the issuing of NFTs to the retail shareholders as another unknown catalyst that would cause their Moass, using a pandering tweet from Adam Aron as evidence. The next day, Aron easily utilizes Twitter as a quick communication to his shareholders that tomorrow would be the day when Project Popcorn is initiated into the portfolios of his trusting, unsuspecting shareholders. On the day of Ape's release, Kalinovic adds that a stock market crash will cause the ever-present Moass to entice the retail investors to keep holding on, despite his resume of failed prophecies. When AMC was stripped of half of its value, it exposed Ape to severe volatility. Aron reminded his retail shareholders that AMC and Ape combined still held the same value. Larson corroborated reports that people were not getting their Ape shares. In the volatility, Larson posts that Ape and AMC were going to the never-before-seen highs, assumedly pumping both of the stocks to retail shareholders and entice them to buy. In the next tweet, she told her followers that Ape would eventually reveal the truth. Aron wrote after the issuance of Ape to reassure his base that he received his Ape shares, while some retail investors never received them from their brokers, posting their understandable frustrations on social media. Consistent with his financial reporting on AMC, Frank Nez published on his website in January of 2023 that in the month of Ape's delivery, there were $304.9 million of FTDs, or failure to deliver on Ape. The FTD acronym is associated with multiple possibilities, but in most cases connected to naked short selling. The same counterfeit shares that Aron said did not exist were used by hedge funds in a piranha-like feeding frenzy, chopping down the price of Ape at its debut. Aron's exuberant exaggeration of the bonus of owning Ape shares came crashing down. On the 23rd, despite being a purveyor of continued false claims, Marcel Kalinovic invited people to join his Discord to wait for the Moass.
There are so many brokers in Europe and Canada that still have not delivered their Ape shares to AMC investors. This should have been done by August 22nd. The date is now Friday, August 26th. And many people have yet to receive these Ape shares, even though hundreds of millions have already traded. The majority of them probably being synthetics. And I say probably because I can't say that all of them are. That being the case, where they're coming from, I'm not sure. But I have seen Vanguard and many other websites state that the outstanding shares of Ape is hundreds of millions, if not tens of billions, over the free float of AMC. What do you guys think?
We're going to be so
Martin, I think you're a smart man.
A new promotion emerged to distract investors away from Ape's disastrous premiere, continually trading below its original value, an effort to convince shareholders that they needed to raise the money to pay down AMC's debt that Adam Aron originally added during his tenure.
We're going to be going live tomorrow on Trade Trades at 9:30. Me and him had a huge talk today, and it was actually insanely good, I think, on my point of view. We've talked about the movement, Ape. So, when the movement first came, one of the main things that people were pushing was dilution, and it's so fucking bad, and it's going to kill the movement, and all this stuff, and Adam Aron, and blah, 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 and blah, 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 and nobody wanted to address AMC.
Brian Reis speaks to his audience as would the host of a children's program attempting to explain the benefits of saving a fictional character named Billy, representative of AMC. Billy is saved through Aron's smart dilution, analogized as a blood transfusion. For Aron's supportive influencers, Ape is now the primary stock of importance. Reis sells to his audience the idea of Aron paying down the debt, utilizing Ape. Its shelf life lasted 1 year. As stated before, Aron did eliminate only some of the debt with Ape, but at nearly the lowest possible price for short sellers to continue to decimate retail shareholders' assets, aiding them in the attack on his own company. He could have sold at a much higher price, but why eliminate the debt when he accomplished more by keeping AMC prisoner to market manipulation? Smart dilution appeared to be a euphemism for control over its price to benefit AMC's insiders and market makers shorting the stock.
Ape's percentage is going to keep going up. Why? Because they're going to hammer this. Because this is AMC's lifeline. This is the only way that AMC can suddenly overcome this debt, because the biggest thing that they needed was a share offering, and we wouldn't give it to them. This is the best explanation you'll ever hear. And if you don't understand the dilution part, and this doesn't make you realize that it's not bad, nothing wrong. All right, you have a guy and he's crossing the street here, okay? And all of a sudden here's Billy. We'll call him, well actually it's not even Billy here. Yeah, we'll call him Little Billy. Here's Billy, he's crossing the street. He's even got his little lunch pail. You got Billy here on his deathbed and he's scared. No one knows what's going on. He's in a coma. Billy's comaed out right now. Billy's comaed out. Oh no, he's got his little thermometer. No one knows what's going on. Billy's scared. Billy's scared right now, okay? He's up to his machines. Blah, blah, blah. Here's all your machines, okay? And now, here's the short sellers. Now, instead of short sellers, let's call them doctors. Instead of shorting, they're betting Billy's gonna die. Through smart dilution, because guess what? If, like I told you before, if Ape's price gets high enough, you barely need to dilute any shares. You barely need to dilute that much. And guess what? Even with the small amount of dilution, this will already be it by next week. This will be about 34%. So 35%. Now, even with smart dilution, even if they covered, that means Ape's price will go up from a small amount of covering, and this might go down to what? 30%? Well, guess what? That's already still higher than fucking AMC. Now, AMC paid off a shit ton of debt if they did it smartly, and now AMC's price raises because guess what? They paid down debt. They got rid of this high interest that is fucking them. They're not burning fucking cash. This is a big deal. The fundamentals, the short thesis of AMC is still there. We need to fucking kill it. I've been saying this forever. It matters. Ape is the solution to fucking, like I said, it's everything. It's crazy, man.
Aron posted on Twitter on the 29th of August about his former days at Pan Am. He mentioned that he would soon see a replica of one of the planes during a museum visit in Ireland. Catherine Larson, like Pitts and Reis, played on the ignorance of their followers by suggesting Adam Aron coded the message to mean counterfeit shares. Phillip Pitts, a close supporter of Brian Reis, penned a song per his stated profession as a music producer to carry the message of smart dilution and the importance of buying Ape. He used Brian Reis's Save Billy narrative in another format. Like Reis's diatribe speaking to his audience in a condescending tone, Pitts makes the song easily palatable for his viewers, showing the underlying arrogance of both influencers. Tony Franzetti accuses prominent YouTuber Meet Kevin of deleting his videos warning people about Ape, suggesting people should sell Project Popcorn's primary mechanism. Kevin's warning may have helped the people he reached, while Franzetti projects the idea that Kevin is reading from a script provided by a third party, suggesting paid manipulation. However, some of the videos following that include Franzetti show that he is acting out the role of Tony DeNaro to his audience. In Franzetti's video to Meet Kevin, he also mentions his disagreement on the value of Ape with other YouTubers that happen to have more subscribers than he does, Wrench Capital and Matt Kors, both warning their viewers about keeping Ape in their portfolio. Franzetti DeNaro's 30 years of seasoned investing experience transmuted into a hypothetical guessing game, some of it based on his feelings that flowed nicely in support of his colleague influencers promoting Adam Aron's leadership. Like most past predictions, Franzetti clearly gives more financial advice in attempting to convince people to hold on to Ape and buy more of it.
They have their own opinion, but in this video, I'm going to walk you through my thesis and where it is different from theirs. Let's get right into the topic. Now, let's start off by getting a couple of the big elephants in the room out of the way. As we have been discussing for the past couple weeks, this initial distribution of Ape was not dilution, but Adam Aron has 484 million additional Ape units in the treasury that he has already converted preferred shares into. These Apes, they are what I call his golden ticket to pay off the debt. For the last couple weeks, I have been saying that once the Ape is issued on August 22nd, at some point after that, it was my feeling that Wall Street would view the economic value of an AMC share and an Ape share as being equal. There is clearly out of the gate on day 1, 2, and 3 a little bit of extra selling pressure on Ape. because people are worried. There's all this FUD going on. There's all this nonsense in the mainstream media, and there are people leaving APE to go to AMC. This is going to create a temporary distortion in the price, bringing the price of APE down. It is my contention and ongoing belief that in the coming days and weeks that the market is going to agree with this thesis and that the APE and AMC shares are going to find some level of parity. In the most likely solution for that scenario, the price of AMC is going to continue to come down and the price of APE is going to continue to come up. Now, clearly, if you're someone like Jim Chanos, who's not emotionally attached to a stock, you're going to take advantage of both sides of that equation and short AMC and buy APE. Now, clearly, as investors who like the company AMC and like the investment in this company, we're not going to be shorting AMC and buying APE. We're just probably going to take the positive side of the trade and buy APE and enjoy that ride up. And you're already seeing that for the past couple days. I think APE is up about 18%, while AMC has been trending down. And that is despite all of the retail people running like panicked little kids out of APE. Wall Street is a much bigger player in this, and they are the ones buying APE and pushing the price up. Wall Street is buying APE because they know that the price of it is going to go up until it reaches parity with AMC. And I have been doing the same thing. I have only bought APE this week. I'm of course still holding all of my AMC. I'm holding all the APE distribution that I got on August 22nd. And I have added to my position on APE, both on Monday at $5.80 and this morning.
On the 30th, Kalinovic posits that people are stupid and follow others who set dates when earlier in the year he prophesied a time-sensitive executive order that was going to make everyone so f***ing rich. The following day, AMC's cost to borrow skyrockets to 357%. Kalinovic pushes the Moass narrative with the news. September begins and the influencers do not mention the drops in AMC and APE's prices. Kalinovic tags Reis in a tweet touting their other catalyst, Phase 6 requirements for institutions borrowing liquidity. To this day, Phase 6 required by ISDA has done nothing to change the financial markets or cause the Moass. But what it has done is expose both Reis and Kalinovic as amateur financial mystics, masquerading as authorities and proving themselves as charlatans.
Hey y'all, Tony DeNaro here. Welcome back to the channel. It is popcorn time. All right, we're gonna have a little bit of fun on this video and give the haters something else to squawk about. I have seen a bunch of you guys on Twitter over the last year and even in the last few weeks now that the APE dividend is out, the ticker APE, still talking about doing a fundraiser for AMC to pay off that $5 billion in debt. And I also have heard people on space calls talking about doing things like stopping by AMC and buying popcorn or buying overpriced candy just to help the company out, because that definitely does go to the bottom line. The markup on these products is high. I went and bought all three of these today, 20 bucks. $20. But what do I get out of this if I'm just stopping by AMC to buy some overpriced popcorn and candy? A few minutes of pleasure, a full belly, but no real economic utility. Same with a GoFundMe. Great idea. I appreciate your passion, but I want to propose to you something else. If you really love AMC that much, buy APE with your $20. Buy 4 shares. You could buy 4 shares of APE for $20. And yes, you're not going to get a full belly full of salt, sugar, and carbs, but you are going to have some economic utility in your investment account. Now, maybe that APE is going to go up and maybe it's going to go down.
On September the 4th, another supposed catalyst came and went, with European institutions receiving margin calls. The Moass was suddenly inevitable, but still hasn't happened. Aron posts a rare positive message, but uses the trouble of Regal Cinemas in a different way than the one previously warning retail about the possibility of bankruptcy, citing $1 billion still left in AMC's liquidity. The following day, Aron reiterates that retail's fear of dilution is unfounded, and they should not worry because he's one of them, based on the shares gifted to him and not personally purchased. Larson typed out checkmate again, and Aron's popular phrase, choke on that. Franzetti tweeted on the 8th that those saying that the Moass is coming in 13 days is unnecessary hype. To his credit, he was correct. On the 12th, he tells his followers, for some reason with the account available to him through supernatural clairvoyance or otherwise, that everyone in the US received their APE shares, again disparaging any idea of a Moass despite posting about it for a year, as if distancing himself from the failed event.
I'll probably buy $100,000 worth of AMC and Ape shares on the channel tomorrow. Feel free to join us if you want. That should be a lot of fun. We're gonna be so...
In the subsequent videos featuring Thomas Smallbone, he dictates the mission of Adam Aron's influential voices on Twitter and YouTube to their audiences. Hold Ape, buy Ape, hedge funds must close their positions on Ape in 90 days. Anyone saying otherwise is paid by hedge funds. Shame anyone who didn't believe the message. Dilution is good. Shareholders have a legitimate vote, all without giving financial advice.
Today I want to talk about why the AMC Ape dividend is the perfect tool to cause the squeeze. Now if you're worried about AMC dilution, please be aware this can only pass and the apes can only convert into AMC stock if investors vote to approve an increase in the number of authorized shares of AMC common stock. aka there will be an investor vote to convert apes into AMC. Obviously if you don't want this to happen, just simply vote no. But again, issuing new ape shares on top of the 516 million apes, aka issuing all 5 billion apes, still doesn't impact or dilute AMC as a company or AMC as a stock. So effectively Adam Aron can issue as many apes as he wants, generating tons of money for AMC without impacting and without diluting AMC as a stock, unless investors pass the vote. So great news, the ape dividend is not being delayed until Q4 and the hedgies, the bots and the shills have not won this time. But it is still the short seller's responsibility to buy these additional ape shares or to effectively facilitate the transfer between one broker and another. So again, it does cost the short sellers millions, if not billions.
Phillip Pitts chimed in his support for the MOAS, but at the same time inferred that anyone trying to convince retail not to hold AMC is a paid short seller lackey, unsurprisingly with no evidence. On the next day he promotes the MOAS again and holding the stock, trying to silence those that are criticizing the buy and hold MOAS approach of Adam Aron's influencers. Finally, on September the 21st, 2022, AMC approved the sale of 425 million ape shares as an at-the-market offering. Aron, Paulus, Whitlinger, and Latter authorized the sale at no less than $2 a share, of course with the prior knowledge that Ape's price would drop via Project Popcorn. AMC and Ape's price were no longer in parity on the 21st. AMC was $8.60, while Ape was $3.38. The price of AMC before the board of directors, Adam Aron, and Citigroup scheme was. Reis made the statement that he still believed in a MOAS despite Ape's ability to have done nothing to change their circumstances.
I personally am not selling my AMC Ape dividend, and why I think it's terrible for the shorts and could cause the squeeze. On top of that, people still haven't received their Ape shares, and what's going around so far is mostly only IOUs and fake shares. Therefore, true ape shares are very, very difficult to come by, very difficult to borrow, because so far, not even all of the shares have been delivered. You may remember yesterday, Wrench Capital tweeted about how he was selling all of his ape shares. The Wooston actually replied saying, you know that ape was specifically designed to squeeze in 90 days, right? Josh obviously replied saying, I'd love to know more about this, Houston. Fancy elaborating a little? Thanks in advance. Wooston replied saying there's only 516 million ape shares. Everything else is a synthetic or simply an IOU that has a default clock of T+90. He said if the short hedge funds don't provide a real ape share to replace the synthetics or the IOUs at 90 days, they get liquidated and forced to buy them. That's the entire reason they were made. Bruce Wayne, or AMC supporter, tweeted saying Overstock took 90 days exactly to go from $10 to $130 after its IPO. So it seems Overstock had a very similar case of T+90 after being issued as a special dividend. That basically means these shorts have to close out of their short positions or they'll be liquidated. And on top of that, Colin tweeted saying there's people out here like Lou vs Wall Street, like Matt Kors, like Meet Kevin, like Wrench Capital and Short the VIX that are selling their ape shares while the CEO is collecting his. Now I personally haven't been convinced, I haven't been swayed, and I haven't been paid off by the shills to sell my ape and to preach to you guys to sell your ape as well. However, saying that, if there is any hedge fund managers out there that want me to sell my ape, my business email is in the link in the description below if you want to help me retire to a nice island. happened. And guys, if you see me posting a video in say 2 or 3 hours from a nice island in the Maldives telling you guys to sell your Ape shares, you probably know what happened. One good sign is that one of the largest voices in this movement is saying that Ape is actually the solution and not the problem. Guys, don't overcomplicate it. I personally think that Trey is absolutely right with this statement. Ape is the solution. It's not very difficult. You just hold your shares that you've been given for free.
Now, Ape, on that first reporting date of August 24th, 2022, there were over 43,438,257 failures to deliver. Many AMC investors didn't receive their shares of Ape for several days and weeks, as market makers and shorts had to wait and try to convince retail to sell their shares of Ape, or at least some retail to sell their shares of Ape, in order to buy them themselves. Ape was not technically an IPO, but as a dividend, it did IPO in the sense that on the ex-dividend date, it was distributed. And therefore, syndicates were created and would still need to deliver the Ape shares, the dividend, by the ex-dividend disbursement date rule of T plus 90 days. Defaulting on the delivery of Ape would result in asset liquidation and automated closing of positions by the broker, the lending broker, against the the lender. Otherwise, they are subject to asset liquidation and automated closing of positions. What I've noticed is that Tesla squeezed to $2,000 a share 90 days after their share dividend. Newegg squeezed to $77 a share 90 days after their merger. Overstock had a crypto dividend distribution date of May 24th, 2020, and 90 days later, around August 20th, 2020, hit its all-time high of $122.32, all because of the T plus 90-day liquidations as the syndicates failed to deliver. Therefore, the stocks skyrocketed to new all-time highs as the shorts were squeezed. Damn, we're gonna be so fucking rich!
It should go without saying that nothing the influencers said transpired. AMC's shorting hedge fund and AMC's market maker Citigroup was chosen as the underwriter for the transaction, when usually there are 2 or 3 entities involved during an at-the-market transaction. Though Ape was on the open market where many believed that it was fairly operating under normal supply and demand dynamics, Adam Aron requested Citigroup manually set the price for under $2. Aron famously told the concerned apes about their investment that market manipulation was not our problem. Meanwhile, the apes did not realize what kind of CEO managed AMC and their investments, and that he participated in the manipulation that was not their problem. This was only the first part of Project Popcorn's workings through the market, to take assets of retail investors and dilute their ownership. Something else was on the horizon with the help of the same influencers, convincing people that everything Adam Aron did for AMC was for their benefit.
Today, I want to talk about how Project Popcorn is one big lie.
They held their audience and the community together with the Moass, Buy and Hold, the value of holding Project Popcorn as an asset while the wealth was being stripped away from them, all without anyone knowing their true financial positions or for who or why they were doing it. The real catalyst came in the form of Adam Aron's final move against retail shareholders who did not know that checkmate was not meant for short sellers destroying AMC. It was meant for them. Project Popcorn was invented to remove assets from the lives of world citizens, entrusting their future to a company whose one goal was to enrich themselves and their colleagues by recklessly ignoring civil and criminal laws that make up the bedrock of civilization. The people involved invited themselves into the homes of their investors, pretended to abide by the same laws, and left with everything they owned. Theoretically, they must have known that enforcement of the law would never occur, and they were able to break any of them without consequence. It begs the final question of why do we have laws to begin with? One can only assume they apply only to regular people, not connected to high society, but this leaves one wondering what morally reprehensible crimes have they committed that they have not made acceptable by means of propaganda.
My word has always been my bond. I've always been a high integrity guy.